The UK House of Lords call for loot boxes to be classified as gambling. NBA 2K21 will not give a free next-gen upgrade. Next-gen games might see a price hike, and more Ubisoft employees leave because of abuse allegations. Hi, welcome to XPpoint. I'm James, and this is the recap of this week. Let's start with some great news, the possible end for loot boxes in games. But before we start with the good news, maybe give a really short history lesson in the entire movement against loot boxes. It all started back in 2017 with the release of EA's Star Wars Battlefront 2, which was riddled with the damn loot boxes. And that made the game more pay to win than play to win. Anyway, because it's Star Wars, and trust me, those fans are really picky and vocal. I mean, I should know because I'm one of them. Anyway, EA received massive backlash because of the incorporation of all these loot boxes and microtransactions. The backlash was so massive, even Disney, that owns the Star Wars property, told EA to make some changes. The whole deal became a mainstream story item because of it, and then several governments took notice and started investigations. Right here in Belgium, surprise mechanics, like EA loves to call them, are downright forbidden now. And game publishers didn't really put up a fight for them, except for Take-Two, that wrote a public letter stating that they don't agree with the Belgian regulations. Anyway, they didn't put up much of a fight because, well, Belgium is, globally speaking, a tiny market, so these publishers wouldn't really lose all that much money. But now we arrive at this week, because the UK is now also asking to regulate and classify loot boxes as gambling. And that would mean they could no longer be included in games like FIFA, Overwatch and Fortnite, or other games that are extremely popular and have a huge demographic. Thursday, the House of Lords Select Committee on Gambling has called for loot boxes to be immediately reclassified as gambling, stating that there is a connection between loot box spending and problem gambling. But they added there is not necessarily a causal link between them. The House of Lords gave this pretty accurate conclusion in their findings. If a product looks like gambling and feels like gambling, it should be regulated as gambling. The best part for the consumers in the UK is that if the United Kingdom's government agrees with the House of Lords recommendation, loot boxes could immediately be reclassified as gambling and therefore no longer legal in games targeted at consumers of all ages. Now, we'll have to wait and see if the UK government will act on this recommendation and if loot boxes will be regulated as gambling. And if so, what impact that will have on the games industry that still heavily relies on them to feed their bottom line. A bit more good news, because Nintendo finally formally apologized for the Joy-Con drift issues that plague so many Switch users. But other than that, Nintendo could not provide further comments due to the problem being the subject of a class action lawsuit against them. The apology was made during Nintendo's latest financial Q&A, where Nintendo's president Shuntaro Furukawa told, "Regarding the Joy-Con, we apologize for any trouble caused to our consumers. We are continuing to aim to improve our products, but as the Joy-Con is the subject of a class action lawsuit in the United States and this is still a pending issue, we would like to refrain from responding about any specific actions." Joy-Con drift has been a problem ever since the Nintendo Switch launched. The drift means that the analog sticks detect movement even when you're not touching the controller, causing the camera or on-screen character to, well, drift. Last year, Nintendo finally began to offer free Joy-Con repairs for everyone that is experiencing the issue, but it has to be said that they only started doing that because of another pending lawsuit against them. You might have noticed this already if you live in Europe, the Middle East or Africa, but Nintendo has stopped retailers from selling digital game codes of its first-party games. Nintendo did not provide a statement as why they made this move. But they did confirm that retailers in the EMEA region will continue to sell DLC codes, online memberships, and Nintendo eShop funds. Download codes of games from other publishers will also still be sold at retailers. The jump to next-gen consoles would have been pretty painless because a lot of publishers have committed to give players free next-gen upgrades for games that will launch on both the old and the new consoles. But 2K Games has no plans to play ball. Nope, they have announced this week that when NBA 2K21 launches on September 4th, you will not be entitled to a free next-gen upgrade if you want to keep playing on your brand spanking new console. You'll either have to pay again, and a bit more on that in the next story, or you have to buy the €99 or $99 Mamba Forever Edition. That package will include what 2K calls dual access to both the current and next-gen versions. But don't get your hopes up too much, because that free next-gen upgrade is only the standard edition of the game, so you won't have access to all of your digital extra goodies the €99 version came with on your old console. Well, there is a workaround, because if you pre-order the Mamba Forever Edition for a next-gen console, then you'll get a free downgrade to the current-gen standard version, so you can start playing there. And it looks like next-gen games will be more expensive. We can come to that conclusion because of the pricing of NBA 2K21 on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X that 2K has announced. The price of those versions will be €74.99 instead of the more traditional $69.99, or for our American friends, $69.99 instead of $59.99. Now, 2K has also told that the effective retail price could be different, so we might have to pay a little less when the next-gen games do launch. But it's not only 2K that uses those prices. There is a small list of PS5 games that you can pre-order on the Dutch online retailer bol.com, where you can see that all those games also cost €74.99. I've reached out to PlayStation about this price hike, and I'll keep you updated if I get a response. Ubisoft executive Maxime Bellon has resigned from his position on Ubisoft's editorial team following accusations of assault and sexual harassment. Bellon has already been suspended pending the outcome of an internal investigation, and that investigation is continuing despite his departure. But he's not the only executive within Ubisoft that is under investigation. VP of Editorial and Creative Services, Tommy Francois, has been placed on disciplinary leave while that investigation is going on. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot announced this week that the company would be undergoing a structural shift in order to change its company culture, including the appointment of a new head of workplace culture, along with the use of an external consulting firm to review its procedures. Ubisoft also stated last week that it will not tolerate workplace misconduct and will continue taking disciplinary actions against anyone who engages in harassment, discrimination, and other behaviors that infringe of their code of fair conduct. The news is the latest in a growing list of departures stemming from allegations of sexual and other abuse in the gaming industry. EVO Online, a fighting game tournament already acting as the replacement for the cancelled EVO 2020, was cancelled itself this week following the firing of its president, Joey Cuellar, for alleged abuse of underage boys. Ubisoft announced their very own free-to-play battle royale game Hyper Scape that is being developed by Ubisoft Montreal. Hyper Scape is set in the not-so-distant future of 2054, where 100 players can go to the virtual city Neo Arcadia to participate in fast-paced, frantic matches to claim victory. Hyper Scape will be playable in squads of 3 players or in a solo mode. The thing that sets this battle royale apart from the others are the hacks that you can find all over the map. With these hacks, that are basically like skills, you'll be able to place mines, seek enemies, erect huge walls to protect yourself and your team, or you'll even be able to become invisible to enemies. Also, instead of a shrinking circle, the entire city will slowly dissolve, that will both expose you to enemies and will also deal damage and eventually kill you if you stay in the dissolved parts. Hyper Scape does not yet have a real release date, but it is playable on PC during its closed technical test until Tuesday. The game will also launch on consoles, and I bet we'll see more of the game during Ubisoft Forward on July 12th. The PC version of Horizon Zero Dawn finally has a release date. The game will launch August 7th, and it'll get extra features compared to the console version, that is. Guerrilla Games has confirmed that the PC version of Horizon will get support for unlocked frame rates, dynamic foliage, controller mapping, improved reflections, ultra-wide support, and it will get benchmarking tools. Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition contains the base game from 2017 and all previously released DLC, including the Frozen Wilds. The PC version is available to pre-order on Steam and the Epic Games Store. Call of Duty Warzone will change the map with the release of Season 5, at least according to some dev sources at Video Games Chronicle. The changes include a revamp of the game's large football stadium, which will become fully explorable, and there will be a loot train added that will circle the map the entire match. The additions are a part of an effort to bring Warzone's Verdansk game map more in line with the next Call of Duty, which will be set during the Cold War. Season 5 is expected to kick off in early August. LightSpeed Studio, a new game developer managed by Steve Martin and financially backed by Tencent Games, is working on a next-gen open-world game. And why is this news? Well, Steve Martin was the former Rockstar Games manager. He also worked on games like Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2, GTA 5, Max Payne 3, Need for Speed Underground 1 and 2, and LA Noire. Lightspeed currently includes employees who previously worked at Respawn Entertainment, 2K Games, Insomniac, and Rockstar Games, other than Steve Martin, we believe. The studio isn't sharing any details about their first product, other than it's headed to next-gen consoles and it'll be a AAA open-world game. Steve Martin said in a press release that they're ushering in a new era of game culture by combining world-class development with a stress-free work environment. From day one, our teams will be focused on building the highest caliber games while promoting integrity, proactivity, collaboration, and creativity. So pretty fancy words to say that Martin is dedicated to creating a crunch-free and inclusive culture. Since the studio just opened up shop, it's safe to assume that their game is still in very early development, so we shouldn't expect to see it anytime soon. Last month we shared the news that HBO's The Last of Us adaptation found its director for its first episode. Now we can share the news that there are at least 2 more game adaptations for TV on the way. Firstly, Zaum has signed with DJ2 Entertainment to create a TV series adaptation of Disco Elysium. The TV series will also be set in the universe of the novel A Sacred and Terrible Air by Robert Kurwitz. There is not much more information to go on about the TV series yet, since the project is only just getting underway and doesn't even have a writer attached to it yet. Also, for the time being, it hasn't been picked up by a network or streaming service. Amazon Studios announced a Fallout TV series from Westworld creators Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy serving as producers. The TV show will be based on the well-known RPG franchise from Bethesda Game Studios that will be involved in the development of the TV show. The game series director Todd Howard will serve as executive producer on the show. Plot details or casting haven't been revealed yet, and it's also unclear if Nolan and Joy are creating an adaptation of one of the games or a whole new series within the Fallout universe. And let's end this week with the free games you can play this month as a PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live Gold member. And let's start with Xbox. On Xbox One you can download WRC8, World Rally Championship until the 31st of July. From the 16th of July until August 15th, you can get Dunk Lords for free. Meanwhile, on the Xbox 360, you can get Saints Row 2 until July 15th, and from July 16th until July 31st, you can download Juju for free. Oh, and as you might know, the Xbox 360 games are also playable on Xbox One. The games are free to download if you have a Xbox Live Gold or Game Pass Ultimate subscription. On PlayStation 4, there are 3 games, all downloadable free of charge starting July 7th until August 3rd for all PlayStation Plus subscribers. The games are NBA 2K20, Rise of the Tomb Raider 20-year celebration, and the interactive film Erica. Well, that's all the news I've got for you this week, so check back here next week for more. If you like this video, please do hit those like and subscribe buttons, that really does help. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.